Our platinum keynote speaker of the day is an acknowledged world expert on the role of AI in transforming not just the digital future, but the digital present. It's a huge pleasure to welcome to the stage Clem Mesiges. Great to see you here, Clem.
Thank you so much. Good to see you. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Very excited to be here with you today. Today, I will talk about AI in construction. This is a very, very cool topic. It's a very dear topic to my heart. And hopefully the next 15 minutes will be informative and helpful. What I'll try to do today is to focus on practical applications. Really, we'll try to make sure that you come out of the next 10, 15 minutes with something more that you can bring to your businesses, to your clients, to your projects, and really make it better. Why this is important? Construction as a sector historically struggled when it comes to labor productivity. Some of the other sectors tend to outperform it. And even today, we see that there are many, many, many challenges in the sector. Many projects are delayed, cost overruns are common, and all of these things can be addressed with the help of technology and advanced analytics and artificial intelligence. So let's maybe take a look at why is this happening and how can we fix it. Construction sector is going through a tremendous transformation. And this is what really, really, really stokes me. I really enjoy to see how this sector is evolving. Historically, the sector was very, very traditional. It's down to earth, it's difficult, it's engineering, it's very grounded, high capital expenditures, a lot of equipment, a lot of complexity. So a lot of traditional elements into the sector. Also historically, if you look at the investment levels into digital and technology as share of revenue, share of investments compared to other industries, we do see that construction was historically a little bit lagging behind. Other industries, other sectors out-invested construction domain when it comes to digital, IT, AI, etc. But that's not the case anymore. Today, if we look into the construction sector, it's moving fast ahead. We have advanced formats being used in design and planning. We see IoT devices and wearables being integrated into day-to-day processes. RFID-backed and chipped equipment is being used across the board. We started using sensors, imagery, satellite analytics to monitor the construction flows. We started connecting different devices, different data sources together to run analytics at scale and start applying them in practice. This is very, very exciting. But the future is even more exciting to me, because I think a couple of key themes emerging in the construction space of the future, I'll just touch upon on two of them. One is full autonomous. I think there is a huge, huge, huge opportunity in autonomous applications within construction domain, just building on top of what we have today. Reimagine and dream about the perfect inspection of the construction site. One of the ways how you can enhance it, if you have an equipment that shows you overlay of what is being built versus what is supposed to be built, and do the automatic crash detection and signaling of the risks and challenges. But it still requires a physical walking through the thing, through construction, scanning, etc. Imagine if you can send an autonomous vehicle to do it at scale, day and night, every day, minimal cost, across all the construction sites. And that's a massive application for both the regulators, municipalities, developers, contractors. So that's one of the areas that I'm really, really excited about the future, and I think the future is very close in this regard. And the other area that I'm extremely excited is the power of agentic AI applications. And I'll talk about one application in a second in the design and planning phase, but this innovation offers unique opportunities where historically we struggled in the construction space. And I'll give you one concrete example now and one example a bit later. One of the challenges in the construction space historically, why AI was taking so long to take up, was complexity. If you're all working in this space, you're familiar that if you're building a large construction project, the schedules are enormous. Amount of contractors you're dealing with on a daily basis is hundreds, could be thousands if the project is huge. You have thousands of different stakeholders involved. Everything is being built at the same time. Many different pieces move and influence each other. So the complexity is just enormous, and integrating all of that into the single decision brain was difficult. Nowadays, with agentic platforms, you can actually access this data and create these unified layers of data that is required for effective AI in a much, much, much easier way. And this is very, very exciting. Now, given all of that, we still see some of the key challenges why adoption is slow. And I think this is very, very important to highlight because you, as leaders in the sector, should try to address these key challenges, because if you address them, then you can really accelerate AI adoption in your organizations. And I'll highlight a couple of those. To me, one of the key challenges that I see it all the time, and I personally experience it in my personal life as well, professional life, is lack of clear return on investments. Sometimes it's very difficult to link certain AI application to a very meaningful, clear P&L bottom line impact directly. And that's a challenge, because a lot of the things that we are bringing nowadays is trailblazing, really cutting edge, trying to really change the way we work and operate. And very often, it requires substantial amount of investments, especially nowadays when we move into generative AI, agentic platforms, amount of compute for inference is also skyrocketing, meaning that amount of investments we need to put into artificial intelligence is non-zero. It's a substantial amount of money. At the same time, in order to succeed, you need to demonstrate ability to generate substantial impact at scale. We all have done pilots. We all have done POCs. We all have done minimal viable products where we demonstrated impact in this isolated case. Few of us, and I'm guilty of that as well, we struggled to then replicate it at the entire scale, to really move the needle that, financial controller or CFO really sees, yes, this is really moving the needle on my balance sheets. And that's one of the key challenges that we all need to face and address to make sure that we are able to push AI innovation forward. Now, the good news is that technology is really ramping up. And I look around this room and I see outside there is enormous amount of exciting technologies out there. And just to name a few, and one of the key innovations in the field is BIM. I think BIM offers a very unique way. How can we rethink the entire life cycle of the construction? All the way from the design to the construction monitoring, even to operations and maintenance later on. Historically, BIM files in IFC standards were mainly used in isolated cases, primarily in the design and planning phase. But nowadays, what we try to do, we try to move forward and integrate into entire value chain and start building on the single file. So basically, you have one single source of truth for the entire life cycle of your construction, all the way from the pre-concept master plan to concept, to approvals, to building permitting, to the construction, throughout all the way to operations. You're building on one single source of truth in a digital twin concept, and I think that really offers a unique opportunity to ensure traceability and then build analytics on top. Another exciting thing, and this is where I'm really excited to see so many cool companies here today, is that many, many market players are really investing a lot in this field. We are one of the examples. We are an AI tech company. We're investing a lot in this space. And there are hundreds of other companies, thousands of companies here in UAE, in the region, and at the globe, really putting effort into bringing and developing advanced technology for construction. And this is exciting. It creates new opportunities, new competition, new ways of rethinking the whole sector. And that just basically win-win-win for the end user, because it really proliferates amount of investments we do and proliferates the impact that we're able to achieve. Now, let me talk a little bit about the practical applications. How do we think about AI nowadays in an at-scale deployment? For artificial intelligence to really work at scale, it's very important to make sure that you have a unified decisioning brain. That's what we call it. You can call it unified decision brain, single decision brain, one analytics engine, whatever we want to call it. But it's very critical to have everything done in one logical unit. Why is that the case? The reason why is because in order for you to make actionable insights and actionable decisions, you have to crunch a ton of data from all different sources and take into account many moving pieces. I'll give you an example. If you were given a task to predict a delay on one schedule WBS, work breakdown order, or work breakdown structure, on one line item in the construction, one deliverable in the schedule, you wanted to predict what is the likelihood of the delay that this will be delayed by, let's say, 1 month, couple quarters in the future. How do you do it? This thing can be affected by a gazillion of things. On one end, you want to integrate your satellite imagery, your drone footage, your cameras and IoT devices, because maybe you will spot some delays at the foundational level, maybe some pace of the construction slowing down. You can do the change detection. On the other side, you actually need to load entire schedules into it and see maybe this was already the pattern that we saw in the previous cases. Maybe there are some other schedules that are affecting it. You need that loaded into the same way. At the same time, you need to have all your contractor information. Maybe you have a contractor that is responsible for that particular element in your construction site, but then you realize that in the next 2 quarters, this particular contractor will have 5 times more work, and they know the ability to deliver might not be at par, and therefore that's another risk factor. You need to feed your permitting processes into this equation. Maybe there are some delays that would come from permitting and approvals. So this just gives an example how it's critical to integrate everything into one single decision brain and create one unified abstracted layer. And this is hard. This is really, 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 really hard. The main reason why is because everything is in different systems, different tools, different formats, different frameworks, different databases. Everything is different, but you need to have everything in one go. And this is where the world is moving. So when a big developer wants to truly transform itself into powerhouse, how they use AI and digital in construction monitoring as an example, one of the primary things they do, they aggregate in a structured way through using AI, agentic AI nowadays, to structure everything into a single decision brain. Once you have that, then the cool start begins. And this is a really cool page, and this is one of my favorite ones. And feel free to take pictures, of course. This is where we can start using analytics to do real things. And AI works across entire life cycle. So once we reach this, the cool stuff begins. So we have the investments. We then start having design and planning. We have a construction monitoring, and we have operations and maintenance, the entire life cycle of the construction. And in every single thing, there are real-life business problems that technology can address. So let me give you just a couple of examples. Take design and planning. Today, when you are designing a building and you're working with 2D CAD files, 3D BIM files, DWF, DWG, IFS, you have different teams working together. It could take months of designers to come up with drawings that fulfill the internal criteria, external criteria, align back and forth, et cetera, and iterate. It takes months. It really takes months. Imagine if you can do it with AI in a matter of seconds, and I'll show you how it's possible to do it. If you move to construction monitoring, we can monitor safety. We can monitor compliance. We can start checking with the cameras in this field if the policies of the way site safety should be maintained is followed or not, and which is becoming a really, really important thing in many, many boards of the largest developers, really monitoring safety and compliance and adherence to that. And this is what you can also start doing. And when you move to operations and maintenance, again, there are so many cool applications that you can do there. You can start doing efficiency monitoring. You can start using your digital twins for predictive maintenance, advanced inspections, and the list goes on. Now, this is where the cool start begins. In the next 2 slides, I will give you one real example of a real AI application, how it works, to completely radicalize and change how we do the building permitting, compliance checks, design checks in the design and planning phase. And this works for both developers, design houses, and municipalities. Today, if you have a drawing, 2D or 3D, of your villa, your townhouse, your residential complex, your hospitality building, your ports, anything, you are working with the large design teams to come up with the drawings that cover architectural, cover structural, cover MEP rules, etc. Very complex drawings. But then you are looking at hundreds of pages of drawings in various formats. At the same time, you have even more hundreds of pages of building codes, regulations, internal policies, internal guidelines. Sometimes you have specific ad hoc governor's note that affects that particular project. So how do you constantly maintain and analyze if everything is complying or not? How do you do it fast? With AI, you do it in multiple steps. First of all, after you load everything, you basically use your geometric analyses, where you extract objects and categorize these objects into the natural language. So essentially, imagine 2D CAD file. It looks into the room. It attracts all the information. It says, OK, this is the wall. This is the door. This is the window. This is the beam. This is something else. This has some interior elements. It basically understands everything, extracts that, and structures into the natural language objects. Next, it goes into mathematics. We perform all the mathematical calculations, distances, depth, heights, weights, etc. Anything that is required to fulfill regulations. All of the mathematical calculations are performed automatically. So what we have our drawing. We have the drawing interpreted for every single object that there is. We understand everything in a natural language. Then we have performed all the mathematical calculations. We know every single numerical value there is to know. And then we move into the evaluation phase. This is where large language models, specifically trained large language models on this subject matter, are able to cross-reference those objects that are now expressed in natural language versus the building code and regulation, and do it essentially at a split of a second. And then automatically produce you a nice output that shows you clear reports for every single rule, if your building, your drawing complies or not, and if not, why, and also it marks you on the drawing, either 2D or 3D. And imagine the power of this. You can iterate with the designs, you can iterate with creativity, you can be much more bold, because now you're not afraid that every single iteration will take a month. Every single iteration takes 5 minutes, and amounts of savings you can achieve is ginormous. But that's not it. Why don't we take it one step further? This is where agentic comes into play. Imagine a system where if I have an engine that is able to fully crunch all of the design plans against all of the rules and regulations, both internal and external, and identify me with a high precision that this particular space does not comply because of this reason. Let's take it one step further. You can have agentic generative platform that then goes back into the design and fixes it for you. So the user essentially just becomes like our arbiter. Basically looks from the top, assesses what's been done by the system, and just approves. That's it. You don't need to do anything else. So basically you have this iterative fixing and generative design, even generation of your 2D and 3D. And this is extremely powerful. By this point, we are able to achieve thousands of % of efficiency gains across the board. And this is just one small illustration of one small AI application in the vast spectrum of all opportunities in the construction space. And this is what's exciting. And this is what really drives me, because all of this was really not available 2 years ago. We couldn't do it at scale, at the precisions required. The algorithms were not there. The compute was not there. The data centers were not there at the right scale, at the right accuracy, at the right quality. Now we can do it. And probably tomorrow we will be able to do it much more. And that's what's super exciting. So the final message that I wanted to leave you with today, how do we take it forward? You're all leaders in your space. You're all leaders of your companies. How do you take it forward? And let me leave you with a couple of tips and learnings from a painful practical experience of working this field a long time and trying to really bring AI into this space. One thing is clear leadership and role modeling and being a champion. One of the challenges of AI is that we are often trailblazing. We don't know what we don't know. Many things are not tested. Many things are new. Many things just came out of the block last month, last quarter, last year. Things are new, not done at scale. So there will always be a risk of actually achieving impact, and there will always be risks of how do we make sure it works. Therefore, you as leaders need to accept this, acknowledge it, and be comfortable with it. You need to be able to say, I believe in the concept, and I will do all my best to support this, to drive this forward. And I think that's one of the critical success factors if you as a leaders have very strong vision, support, and healthy risk appetite. Because this will never be a sure case formula. And this is very important, the message that I wanted to leave you with AI. Be bold, don't be afraid, trust in the technology, experiment a bit, play with it. There are so many cool applications that are coming out of it. Be open to fail fast, adapt, and that's what will make you the true leader among the rest of the peers. Thank you so much for the chat. Really appreciate it.